What's going on, backpackers? Dave here with Off Grid. I'm into backpacking, hiking, camping, and gear. And today I'm going to be doing a first look at a piece of gear that I mentioned that I'm excited to try out in the calendar year of 2023. In that video, I had mentioned a whole bunch of pieces of gear, but the one that I want to focus on today, because I didn't have it at that time, is this guy right here. And this is my new alcohol stove that I want to try out this year, and it's by a German company called XBoil. So we're going to be getting into all of the usual stuff for you guys here today. I was going to do an unboxing, but the weather here has been a little bit on the wetter side, and the box is all kind of crumpled and stuff. And full disclosure, I've already ripped this open and done a bunch of time trials and everything because I just couldn't wait to shoot the video. But I'm going to be going over the overall design. I'm going to be doing the specs. I'm going to be doing the cost, price points you can expect, as well as the weight and the pros and cons. I'm going to get into a quick time trial that I did and shot for you guys before wrapping it all up with my final thoughts. So let's just get right into the video today. So first of all, what does it come with? Well, you've got your stand right here, which they actually ship it put together, and I'll show you how to do that right now. It basically just fits in to itself. It's a very simple and easy way of fitting into itself. So they give you that, and then they give you a couple of dropper bottles. I ended up getting, I think this is a 30 milliliter or a right around an ounce, and then I also got a 100 milliliter or a 3.3 ounce, so a little bit over 4 ounces, a little bit under 4.5 ounces. And they don't come with anything on the inside either, so there's no dropper or anything like that. So you can use these, but I have a little bit better of a dropper bottle. So it comes with that, as well as your stove with some feet for the stand over here. So the stove is just like a standard like tin. They have a little felt pad in here so that the fuel doesn't spill out. And then they've got 3 different legs here. It's kind of hard to pick it up on here, but I'm sure I'm showing it in the B-roll, that basically just fit into the stand really easily. And that's everything that it comes with. Let's get into the overall design now. And the overall design of it is basically very similar to a lot of other styles. It's a windscreen, it's a stove stand, as well as a complete kit with your stove. But you can not only do your, boiling your water for your freeze-dried meals, but as you can see here, they also have a couple of raised ridges, so that you can sit a flatter pan on top. So if you want to do more intricate cooking, you can do that as well. The only downside to that is that the stove that they give you doesn't have a simmer ring, so it's just on full blast. I wouldn't necessarily recommend kind of like putting it like halfway like that. So you might have to switch over to something like a Trangia stove that has that dedicated simmering if you want to do more of that pan cooking with like egg steaks and things like that. And the only other thing for the design that I have is that it's just ultra slim and compact. This folds down really well, and you can put it into, let me just do it right here on camera for you guys to show you what I mean. I got my Jetboil stash. This is what I had it fitted for. And it's real easy to just fold it up a little bit more and fits into your pan nice and easy. It doesn't pop up over the edge, and you can put the lid on, no problem. All right, let's get into the next section that I have here, which is all about these specs. And you basically get it, much like the Caldera cone system, you get it based off of your pot diameter. So you have to figure out, what the diameter is across the top of your pot. For the Jetboil stash here, it's right around 5 inches, just under 5 inches. So I ended up getting, and the cool thing about this too that I really like is that they print, I don't know if it's gonna show up on screen here with the glare, but it says here at the bottom, FS 105-115. I don't know what the FS is, but that basically means it's 105 millimeters to 115 millimeters. So I really like that they printed that on the unit itself. So there's a little bit of a range within there, but you have to get it custom fit for your pot. And then a little bit more for the specs. The overall height on this particular one is 3 inches. A little bit under 3 inches from the bottom portion all the way to the top of the ridge here, a little bit less if you were to go based off of just under the ridge. And then the total width of this unit completely flat is about 16 inches. Most likely you're not going to carry it that way, but just a heads up on that one. And that is just for my particular unit. Obviously, again, they come in all different sizes. Let's get over to the cost now. And because it is a European country, you're going to have to pay for it in euros. The other thing, too, is how you pay for it. You don't pay for it up front. They kind of go off of an honor system, which is cool or bad, depending on how you look at it. But you only pay for it after you get it. For my particular unit, all in, even with the shipping, it came in at just under 50 euros. So anywhere, I'm looking on their site here too, I think it comes in somewhere around the 48 to 52 euro range, depending on which one you get. This one is kind of in the middle range as far as like the overall size. So it's right around that middle price point. Next category I have for you guys is the overall weight. Now on their site, they state for mine in particular, and I don't think they include the little dropper bottles there. So just for the stove, the feet, and the windscreen here all in, they mentioned for my unit at being 72 grams or just around 2.5 ounces. But of course, you know me, I guess I could consider myself a gram weenie in some ways, or just overly technical. I ended up throwing it on my kitchen scale. And for the stove here, it came in at 0.6 ounces, and then the total with the feet and the stand on my scale came in at 1.8 ounces. So that's 2.4 ounces total, so just under what they have listed on their site. So it's always great when it comes in under what they list. Now let's get into the pros and cons. I'm going to get the cons out of the way real quick here. The first con that I have is that the price point is okay. It's not the best. If you're thinking about it again from an overall system, like a complete system standpoint of getting the stove and everything that you need, the dropper, everything basically except for the fuel and your pot, it's not that bad, particularly if you're looking at stuff like the Soto Windmaster or the MSR Pocket Rocket Deluxe. That can be anywhere from like $50 to $80, $50 or right around 50 euros. It really depends on the conversion, right? Is not crazy bad, but it's not great either, especially if you're looking to do it yourself, like a DIY project, the cat can stuff, where it can cost you like mere cents to make your own alcohol stove system. The next con that I have is and I kind of view this as a potential con because I've only done time trials right here in the studio under optimal conditions. I really wonder about the overall performance in the wind. So let me put this back together real quick and show you guys what I'm talking about. The biggest thing that I kind of worry about is it is a lower profile. So if I put the pot on here, and this has the flux ring on it, you can see when it goes on the feet that are in it, it only just kind of like comes up high enough for it to cover that flux ring. And I really definitely like caution you guys against like getting the appropriately sized diameter for your pot, because if there's a little bit too much, like I can put my Toques on here too because the feet are a little bit wider, but my Toques has a much more narrow diameter on this, so the wind is definitely going to be able to come up over this thing. But if you have a wider diameter pot, it's going to eliminate that a little bit more, but it's not deep. Like the sides of this don't come all the way up on the pot. So that's a potential con, but I have to test that out in the field and let you guys know and get back to you on that one. And then the other con that I have for you is that you have to buy the whole system that I just mentioned, right? If you're seasoned or if you have pieces from other kits, like, I had the Vargo windscreen before, I bought the Caldera cone, so I had stoves before, I had other pieces, like the dropper bottles and stuff like that. I mean, the fact that you have to invest in all of that and a complete system is not something that I care for. I think I mentioned that in the Caldera cone video as well, but I don't really care for that. I'd like to be able to piecemeal certain things and just be able to get what I want instead of having to invest in the whole thing. All right, cons out of the way. Let's get into the stuff that I really like about this and some of the reasons why I ended up purchasing this system. The first of which, and I already mentioned this, is the fact that it is slim and compact. It is really a bummer, especially with my old Caldera cone system, the fact that it took up so much volume, and I really disliked that. So I was looking for that slim and compact and lower profile design, and that's what this provides. The second pro that I have is that it's lightweight, obviously. 2.5 ounces for, you know, your screen, your stove, and your stand is pretty awesome. And that's mostly just for the base weight. If you're talking about the total weight too, you're also looking at the fact that the amount of fuel that you're bringing, if it's just for like a weekend trip or something like that, compared to a gas stove, is also going to be a little bit less, a full gas can anyway. And then the last pro that I have for you guys is the overall stove design is pretty optimal. It's not only leak proof, but it can also store additional fuel in it. So I didn't really show you guys this just yet, but and another reason why I like the XBoil stove here in particular is they have a little cutout, and I don't know if you can see it here, but I definitely got it in the B-roll. They have a little cutout here so you can see when it starts to get oversaturated before it like kind of overflows. So that like little window pane peak is kind of really cool into seeing how much fuel you have into here. But the felt pad, they also have this in the Kojin stove for Caldera cone. I definitely recommend something like that where you can not only like have a lid to snuff out the flame, which my Toke siphon burner didn't have, but also having that felt pad in there means that I can basically like pick it up when it's lit, which I wouldn't recommend you guys do, but if you knock it over, if you pick it up and try to like turn it over, the fuel's not going to just spill out and just run everywhere and light the whole forest on fire. So you definitely don't want that. So I really like that overall design of the stove. All right, pros and cons out of the way. Let me get over into the time trials real quick. I did a bunch at home. I have a couple of different fuel types that I was testing with, but I'm just going to show you one today. And I was doing 2 cups of cold water from the tap and seeing how long it was going to take to come to a rolling boil. So I got 2 cups of water in the JetBoil stash here, and again, this is a more fuel-efficient stove with the flux ring. Definitely recommend it. But I got 2 cups to boil in right around 4 minutes and 40 seconds, 4 minutes 45 seconds, somewhere in that time frame. Now again, that's under optimal conditions. I'm not outside, I'm not in the wind, and with other factors. But I think the total fuel used was somewhere around 1/2 ounce of alcohol as well for the XBoil stove. So pretty efficient, not as quick as my Caldera cone system, but I kind of assume that just because it's just, you know, more of a generic stand. But that's going to do it for the time trials. Now let's slide over into my final thoughts for this piece. So far I am extremely impressed with it, not only because of the weight, but also, again, I had mentioned this, but of how compact it is. I really liked how it just fits, everything nests in my pot, and I can fit pretty much everything except for my fuel bottle, because I usually carry around a 4-ounce fuel bottle, and the total height of the JetBoil stash just isn't high enough to accommodate that. If I were to bring, you know, these smaller bottles, I might be able to even jam this one in here that's, you know, around 3 ounces. If I were to carry these 2, I might be able to fit everything into my pot, but I'm not able to do that. But I'm very impressed with it so far. I really like the time trials that I've seen, but again, I am kind of concerned a little bit about how it's going to fare in windier conditions. And then the last thing that I kind of wish, and this is really just about the overall design of the product, so maybe if the folks at JetBoil are watching this, they can kind of take that into account, but they might have done this on purpose. But anyway, last thing I'm going to mention is going to be about these notches here at the end. So where it ends up clipping in first of all, I love that design. I think it's very slim and sleek, and I really like it, but why not just add a couple more of those holes a little bit further on the inside so that you can fit a wider range of pot sizes. So I think if they added a couple of additional notches here to like tighten it up and wrap it a little bit more, then I would be able to fit my Toke's pot in there as well as my JetBoil stash. So the fact that you kind of have to buy a different screen for each type or risk just having it underperform in windier conditions is not the best. But that's it. That's a first quick look and quick roundup of the German company XBoil and their new piece for an alcohol stove system. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I want to hear all about it. Have you heard about this stove yet? If you haven't, and this is the first time that you're hearing about it, are you intrigued by it? Are you thinking about picking one up now? Let me know. Let's get the discussion going. I really appreciate you guys as always. Thanks so much for watching. At the end title cards here, I'm also just going to throw in some other alcohol stove and time trials for you because I'm ultra nerdy with that stuff. But anyway, thanks again for dropping by and for watching this week, and I'll see you on the next one. But as you can see here, they have a couple of raised